Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soft Lock Podcast. I'm Jake, that's Jonathan, and today we're going to be talking about video games, as we do every episode. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Dude, we're talking about video games when Monster Hunter Wilds is out.
There is an anxiety in this Discord call right now to get this podcast done with.
Yes, it is, You know, I kind of can't believe it's out, low-key, but here's another thing about the anxiety of this podcast. This episode is not talking about Monster Hunter Wilds.
We, unfortunately, haven't had too much time with the game yet.
The game just came out, 2 days ago.
There's bad timing with the podcast on, and that's my fault. I've been very busy lately. But we'll have a whole episode all about Monster Hunter. Not just Monster Hunter Wilds, but all about Monster Hunter coming up soon.
We actually have not. I feel like we haven't talked that much about Monster Hunter, which is really interesting because Monster Hunter is one of my favorite franchises ever. I kind of hate the saying that I love a franchise. I love a product. I love it so much. But it is. And I don't know if that's the same for you, but I know you have a pretty much parallel history with it. As I do.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World is one of my favorite games ever. So the fact that we never have really talked about it in depth is kind of shocking. It's like we're building it all up. It's like building up a fart. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to fart.
Because I think we've known about Monster Hunter Wilds since we started this podcast, right?
Yes.
Like, it certainly was announced, but it was announced so long ago.
Ooh, I don't actually know. Was it announced? Was it announced while we were still in college?
Yes, I don't know exactly the timeline there, but for a majority of this podcast existing, we've known that there is a new Monster Hunter World sequel on the horizon. And so for that reason, I think we've kind of been reserving our thoughts and opinions for an eventual episode all about it.
It was announced at the December 2023 Game Awards. So we were freshly graduated at the time, I believe, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. That must have been in my stint where I was unemployed, and I saw that game announced, and I went, oh no, and I looked at my wallet.
There is a reason to live.
Yeah, but then I looked at my wallet and no money, and I went, no.
But yes,
but things have changed. Now the game's out. But we're not talking about that shit.
Yeah, I'm putting it all out there that there is a certain energy about life right now where me and Jonathan want to do nothing but play Monster Hunter, and everything else between that and now, we're gonna be on autopilot.
Yeah.
However, we're gonna lock in for about however long this podcast is, because Jonathan has a very exciting episode planned for us.
This is a Jonathan-dominated episode.
This is the John cast. I'm just here as a moderator today. I've brought questions. I've brought topics to discuss, to just poke and prod us along, but really, this is Jonathan's moment to shine. So everyone, remember to tell Jonathan how much you love him, and make sure that you leave a comment about your favorite part of his body. Now, Jonathan, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the Playdate console. Now, this is something that I think people might have seen online in passing and been like, oh, that's like kind of interesting. It's kind of like they might have just have seen it and written it off as one of those fake, you know those consoles you can get on like eBay?
They're like 1001.
Yeah, 1001 emulation, like ROM games. And I've never actually purchased one of those because that's just not my style. But I feel like this is kind of what maybe people see this game as. You'll see it on social media, perhaps, and you'll be like, oh, that's like cute. It's like a console. It's like a little console, but that doesn't play Fortnite. That doesn't play Call of Duty, so that's just like a cute thing that I'm never gonna look at. So I feel like that's what like the basic consumer may see. But what the Playdate actually is a very impressive piece of technology that surprisingly, I can't believe no one has ever done this before. It is a independent game console. And
a whole record scratch. Are we just gonna erase the Ouya?
yes, actually.
Probably for the best.
I don't know how many people have purchased the Ouya, but did people? I mean, that's actually a good question. We can talk about that. My knowledge of the Ouya is limited, but now my knowledge of the Playdate first-hand experience is not limited. And there's actually, I feel like, tangible reason for someone to get a Playdate.
So what? Okay. What is a Playdate? Like, what is the physical hardware looking like? How does it run? How does it work? Give me all the details, because I probably know more about the Ouya than the Playdate, to be honest with you.
Yes. So the actual Playdate itself is it's a very small piece of machinery. It is the size of a Post-it note. It has a really small screen, black and white screen. It has a D-pad and 2 face buttons, A and a B, and that's the console. But also, the actual thing that makes it really, really unique, despite its small size, is the crank on the side of the console that you can extend out. And this crank, you might have just heard it. I just turned it on because I'm looking at it while I'm describing this. This crank is basically the reason why you would buy the console, in my opinion. It provides a totally unique way of playing things. You can control menus. So on the menu, you just like crank it down, you crank it clockwise, you go down, crank it counterclockwise, you go up. So for menus like that, it feels just really, really nice to crank. And in games, depending on what game you're playing, it has a variety of different functions. Not every game uses the crank.
What are we doing?
Yeah, and what are we doing?
Playdate, you don't use the crank?
Some games only use the crank. And I'm going to go through, not yet, but I'm going to go through all the games that come with Season 1. When you purchase the Playdate, you get a catalog of games called Season 1. You get 24 games, all the different genres, all different play styles, delivered to your Playdate console every week. You get 2 at a time delivered every week. You can just skip that schedule, because this was I think the idea was that you were going to get this console at launch, and then every week you got like a new game. You're like, ooh, look at that. But now that the console's been out for like 2 years, you can just like download them all at once. And you know, that's nothing to scoff at. 24 fucking games that comes with your console is kind of nuts. And some of these are deserve the title of a pack-in game. And some of them are actually like full-fledged games that I would have paid for, actually. And we'll get into that, but the crank is used for almost all of these games. An example I would say is like Whitewater Wipeout. You're a surfer, and you use the crank to angle your surfboard. You launch yourself in the air, and you do 360s. So when your surfer launches in the air, you crank the thing fast as you can, do as many 360s as you can, and then land back in the water in the perfect position, and you get fucking points. So that's how the crank works. And that is the basic like overview of the actual console itself. You can also get a leather cover courtesy of Playdate. The company is called Panic. So the Panic company, when you order your Playdate, you can also get a cover with it. This cover comes in like purple or like a cyan, not a cyan, but like, yeah, kind of like a cyan blue, like light blue type. Or you can get, and I don't understand why anyone would not pick this cover, the cover that makes it look like a pizza box. And it says pizza, and there's an awesome Italian man winking and giving like the piece, like the you know, like the, you know, putting your thumb and your index finger together, right? And then it says delicious, hot, and square. You order them, we crank them out. www.playdate.pizza. Yeah, it's really, really nice. And this is like a leather cover. It is white. So if you're going to be, I can imagine this is going to, get dark over time, especially around the edges. But you should definitely get a cover for this thing because it's small and it's pretty fragile, I would say.
I have a question about the quality, about the texture of the product itself.
Yes.
Because so Panic, it's not like a super well-known thing, but Panic is like it's like a historied company in the tech space. They're very well known for developing software for Mac. And
interesting. Didn't know that.
Then all of a sudden one day they decided that we want to start doing stuff with games, and I believe their first game they published was Firewalk, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I've kind of had my eye on Playdate since Firewalk, because I love Firewalk. And I learned about all this, like they're very well respected in like the computer space. So whenever I heard they were making a piece of hardware, even if it's small and weird like this, I imagine it's like super premium. But I have no idea. Is that accurate? Is it high quality?
So actually, honestly, that's kind of crazy that you told me that Firewatch is developed by Panic. I had no fucking clue.
Well, I think they just published it. Excuse me if I said developed, but
let me see.
They
Published by the developer in partnership with Panic. Interesting.
Untitled Goose Game, I think, was them as well.
That's pretty funny. So build quality, it's good. Honestly, the build quality is very good, despite the fragility. I've heard that if you even, press your fucking thumbs down too hard on the screen, it'll break. This is not a console, despite its portability. And, it's advertised for its portability, advertised for its on-the-go gaming. I actually would not bring this anywhere, to be honest with you, because I imagine that it is fragile. If I drop this on the sidewalk, I don't think it's gonna survive. If I crush it in my bag, I do not think it's gonna survive. Even with the case, I don't think it's gonna take anything more than just slight bumping and jostling before this thing fucking breaks. So don't be giving it to like your 5-year-old thinking that it's gonna be all gonna come out unscathed, because it probably won't be. But I am impressed with the actual build quality, specifically the screen. The screen has a really nice resolution. It has a smooth visual display that I really, really like. I love the frame rate is only apparently 30 frames per second, but something about the way that they do motion on this thing, it feels like it's a much higher. The FPS feels like it's much higher. Animations are really fucking smooth on this thing. Some games have these like dynamic intros where you click them and it'll like have a little animation play for you to like load into the game, and that is really, really satisfying with the frame rate. And there's also an animation when you first set up your Playdate. It plays this kind of tutorial where you press all the buttons, you use the crank. It's like, because it's an analog crank, so you kind of like can kind of like mess with it with like a little screw animation, and it's just so smooth. It's beautiful, actually, the display and how good they made it look. So for Panic, that gets like an A+. But yeah, I would not say that it is very sturdy. I don't know if it's like particularly as fragile as people say, because I've seen some people like you can't be rough with it. You gotta treat it nicely. And I see people online being like, yeah, I can't, like, my thing broke. My Playdate broke. It's so cheaply made. And then I see like the kind of fucking things they post online where it's like, I brought the Playdate to the mountains and I placed it on a mountain. I took a picture and I'm like, this is my Playdate. It's like, bro, don't bring your fucking Playdate to the mountains, homie. Go explore the Tibetan mountains without the Playdate. Don't give it to your child who's gotta, crank that shit and tear it off its hinges. You have to be a mature adult about it. Unfortunately.
But it's such like a throwback to like old school I mean, like obviously Game and Watch, but just like those little like toy games that you would buy that do like one game and have a stupid unique thing like a crank. It's just funny that
That's true.
It's certainly for a mature audience, but it's so like for you to be nostalgic about your childhood.
Yeah, but you see that's kind of where the problem lies with this thing is that it is not a Game and Watch console that probably costs like, I don't know, $20-$30. This costs like $200. This is a very
Pretty
expensive. Order now for $200. It can be a steep price for people to ask. And if you go up to any Call of Duty gamer and you go, dude, get the Playdate. You can play independent games and you use a crank and they're in black and white. Oh yeah, there's no backlight, by the way, so you have to be in a well-lit area. Also, the face buttons are a little finicky. Only the D-pad. I found that the D-pad is a little finicky. And this isn't really that big of an issue unless you're playing a game that wants to be played in a traditional style, which I found that those games are probably the weakest games to be offered on the Playdate. When you're playing the Playdate, you should really be looking for games that play in a unique way. And we'll get to that later, but, that's not gonna... If you bring this to an average gamer, they're just simply gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna pay $200 for this, Yeah. You have to find a very niche audience. And that niche audience is independent games. This is so indie friendly, I would say. And I think that's probably the problem with the Ouya, was that I don't think the Ouya was as independent friendly as something like this, I would say. Panic really gives a lot of tools for developers. You can develop games for it. There's a dev kit, basically. And let me see right here. I'm looking at it right now. They have a system called Pulp. That's their kind of like in-house game maker that you can use to make games on. And, even if you don't own a Playdate, you can use it. And you won't be able to, test it out on the hardware, but you can use Pulp. You can use SDK. You can use all these other tools at your disposal to make games. And you can put it on itch.io and sell them.
Okay.
You can get games directly from itch.io. You do not have to contact, because there is a catalog. Let me make this clear. There is a catalog of games that you can purchase. So you get the 24 games from season 1. But then there's also something called the catalog, and that, for all intents and purposes, is a store. PS Store, Xbox, Microsoft Store, Nintendo Store. That's where the Playdate team puts games of a certain quality, of a certain merit on their store, so more people can see them. You can just buy it directly, download it onto from the website or even on the app, and it'll start downloading automatically. So that's what the catalog is for. Or you can go on itch.io and you can buy games from there, and all you do is take the file and you sideload it onto the Playdate website, and then that website communicates with your account, and that account communicates with your Playdate when it has Wi-Fi, and it will automatically start downloading it. They check every couple hours. The Playdate checks the internet every couple hours to see if you have any updates, if you have any new games you downloaded, and it'll just start downloading it for you, so you don't have to manually download every single thing you want. And that's what you do if you want an itch.io game that isn't on the catalog. You just download it, you purchase it, or it might be free, and you just sideload it, and it'll just do it all for you.
This strikes me as the type of platform that people would kind of just make a lot of demos for, and freeware and stuff. Are there a lot of games out there that you can buy for this thing?
Oh yeah, there is there's actually a shocking amount of games available for it. You can check the catalog. You can go to the website, just play.date/games, and it'll bring you to the catalog. And there is a lot of fucking games on this thing, and they're separated by category: action, adventure, rhythm, puzzle, racing, RPG, sports, strategy, and they even have an app section which has shit like, let me see here, Etch-a-Sketch, and
now that's genius.
Pocket Planner, and Crankulator. Pay $5.
Okay, why does everyone always make a fucking calculator the moment that a homebrew store opens up?
Pay $5 to have a calculator on your Playdate. I wouldn't do it, but you can if you so please. Some categories have more games than others. RPG is a bit... RPG and strategy is only one page. But game, like, action, adventure games has 5 pages of games to pick from, And I actually purchased a couple of games. And by the way, these pages of games, there's like, I want to say maybe 20 games per page. So that's already 20 times 5. That's 100 fucking games just in action category. It's a lot of games. And these are only the games that were chosen to go onto the catalog. You can then go to itch.io and then find all the games that didn't make it to the catalog. Some of them may be better. Some of them may be worse. But there is a lot of games to play. All independent games. The only problem is that you're not going to find any information for these fucking games anywhere. These are games that not a lot of people are playing because you need to have a play date to play it. And they're made by small devs. So, but there is a audience for that. Like the manly badass gamer types. They're just like, let me play this random horror game I found on itch.io and let's just see what happens. You just play it casually. That's what the Playdate is really good for. Picking up a game by developer, real cheap, that you think is cool, and just playing it and just seeing just enjoying the experience.
Did I make up? Isn't Celeste on the Playdate? Or
there is a Celeste remake on the Playdate. Yes.
Okay. I feel like I saw that.
There's also another strange game on the Playdate called like Summit, which is just Celeste. So they have like real Celeste, and then they have like Summit, which is just like bootleg Celeste. I haven't touched either of those, unfortunately. Yeah. But I would actually say a really good place to start, because it can feel a bit daunting when you first get, like, if you get a play date and you're like, oh man, what games do I get? Because they all look like crazy. I don't know if they're going to be any good. Some of them look better than others. Some of them look like, some of them look actually bad. I would say go to the staff picks on the catalog website, and that should probably be your first foray into Playdate games, into like games that you purchase on the cheap, because these are the games that the staff have played and went, okay, well these are good enough that I would recommend them, and hopefully not get in trouble. And so, I have a couple of them, and they're pretty good.
How long do you think you could like stay occupied by just the season 1 that comes with it?
Oh, a really, really long time. These games, some of these games are very short. Some of these games are full on, like full experiences, like full 5-hour or 5+ hour experiences. It's shocking how there is a very big gap of quality between a lot of them. So you really do not know what the hell you're going to get. And that's kind of another bit of the draw to it. I believe that is also another draw to it, where you're, you wake up on Sunday and then here's 2 new games that you've never heard of. Go try them out for free. They're for fucking free. Season 1 just comes with the console, and you get all these games for fucking free. And some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. And that is really, really cool. And they have a little animation where they come in like a little like present, and then you click A, and then it like unwraps the present. It goes boo, and it shows like your new game, and you get to find out whether or not it's good or not. And it can take you a really long time to get through all of these. And I should know that because I have not gotten through all of these, and I've had my Playdate for about over a month and a half. And this is pretty much what I've been doing with my time during my commutes to work and during breaks. I've been messing around with this thing. There's a couple of games that haven't even been able to touch yet. I've finished most of them. Not finished, but I've either finished if a game can be finished, or if it's like a high score game, I have played enough of it to have an opinion on it. But there's a lot that I just simply have not fucking touched. So it can keep you occupied for a very long time.
What was the first game you decided to play on it?
The first thing I played was Whitewater Wipeout, which is the surfing game. And before I get into all of that, before I start talking about the games that are available on Season 1, because the way I structured this episode is that I was going to talk about the Playdate as a console, and then I was going to talk about the Season 1 games, and I was going to talk about the games that I purchased on the catalog so far. So do you have any more questions about the actual Playdate itself? Any burning desires that you feel like you need to be answered?
You covered everything very well, because I was actually, like, I didn't even understand that it had internet connections. So I was like, how does any of this work? So now I have a pretty good idea.
It does, if you can fucking believe it. Actually, you know what? There is a couple of other things I want to talk about with the actual function of the Playdate that makes it a little interesting, because there is internet connection. It's not great. Look at this thing. It is the smallest piece of technology I think I have in my home. And it has internet connection, and it plays games. It is very, very limited in what it can do. So these developers need to optimize these games to be played properly on these systems. You're not going to have this console do anything crazy. Actually, that's not true, because there actually is a couple of games that render 3D spaces, like racing games that render completely 3D spaces, and they run quite well. So this thing does have a lot of fucking surprises for an average person. But yeah, so one of the interesting details is that this does have internet connection. It's connected to the internet. Another interesting detail, there's no power. There's no off. There's no off. You don't turn it off.
What do you mean there's no off?
There's no off. There's no, like, you know how the switch, the switch that you just hit the power button and it goes to sleep, but then there's also, you can hold down the power button and turn it off completely.
Yeah.
It's like that. The switch, it's like that, where it just doesn't have the off. It goes into sleep. That's all it has. But its battery life, because there's no backlight, and because it's such a small piece of technology, so kind of underpowered, its battery lasts a very long time, shockingly long time. You can probably get a whole day's... I can probably play this for like 8 hours before I need a charge at all. I think if I could probably play it for 8 hours straight, it'd probably be down to like low battery, and that's it. This thing holds a fucking charge. And when you put it on sleep mode, it can stay on for like ages when you don't even have to charge it. It's very impressive. The battery life is very impressive, but of course that comes with the cost of not having a backlight. So
that's kind of freaky that there's no backlight for $200. That's the one thing that I'm like,
If there was a backlight, it would have changed the whole thing. It would have changed the whole thing, honestly. But despite that, the display is so smooth on it. Games look so sleek. Animations look so sleek. The black and white visuals, I thought they would get old. They do not get old. I love the visual style of the Playdate and its games. It's good. It's really, really interesting.
Cool.
And that's all I have to say about the actual console itself now.
Wait, one last question.
What's the question?
Does it, like, first off, is it just USB-C?
Oh, yeah.
The charger?
Yeah, it's just USB-C to yeah. Yeah.
And is it like
you can use you can use a phone charger now. You can use a lightning cable on an iPhone. And it'll just work.
Wait, what?
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 Isn't the lightning cable the USB-C?
No.
Oh. Okay, well yeah, it's USB-C. But
Okay.
so they provide you with one that's a USB to a USB-C. But I also you can use anything that has a USB-C and it'll charge.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
the other question is it only in yellow? Is there any other colorways?
it is only in yellow.
I get it. I get it. I think it would be really sick in like a teal though, or like a purple.
Well,
You know what I'm
that's why there's the cases, I guess. But
True.
as it is, it is only yellow, and I imagine that they're probably never gonna make another color. We're still waiting on season 2. I think they said that they were gonna have a season 2 of games. We're still waiting on that. It's been a couple years, but season 1 will keep you entertained probably until then. So how about let's talk about some of the fucking games that are on season 1. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about them in order from when you get them. The first 2 games that you're gonna get on the Playdate, probably the 2 games that people are gonna play the most because it's the first 2 games you get, is Casual Birder and Whitewater Wipeout. Now, Whitewater Wipeout, I spoke about it before. You play as a surfer and you use the crank and you do 360s. That's all you do. I saw everything I needed to see with Whitewater Wipeout in about 3 minutes. It is like a nothing game. That is kind of like the closest thing to a demo that you're going to get on the Playdate. There is just simply nothing going on in Whitewater Wipeout. It's just like there. There's basically no reason to play it after 5 minutes, I would say. So what you were saying earlier about like it's just lots of tech demos, that's one of them. I will admit. Okay. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, we have Casual Birder, which is a full-fledged adventure game where you play as this little like. And I only say this because they did it on purpose. They make the characters like this like beta fucking millennial who's like, puppers, I need my macchiato. Like that's how he talks. He's super annoying, and that's like the joke. And you play as him. You move to a new town, and then a bunch of bullies like beat the shit out of you, and they're like, we're gonna win the birding picture contest. And then you're like, I need to stop them. So you go around and have adventures in this little town where you like walk around and solve like minor puzzles to take pictures of birds.
How we cranking it?
How we cranking it? So the crank is used when you take out your camera. It's used as the focus for the camera. So you find your bird and it'll be all blurry, right? And then you crank it because so you can be like walk around the world. And you see a bird. And then you take out your camera, and then you line up your camera, see your blurry bird, and then you use the crank to adjust the focus of your camera until it's in focus, and then you just hit A and snap your fucking picture. And, the challenge is finding the bird. You'll, like, hear, like, tweets, but you won't know where the bird's coming from. You need to find out where it's coming from. Sometimes the bird is really fast, so you have to be fast. Sometimes the bird is only emerges after you do something, and you gotta take its picture, all types of things, and that's how you do it. Then that is Casual Birder, and that kept me entertained for about, like, I 100%ed that, and by 100%ed, I mean, like, I just got all the birds. There's, like, 26 of them or something, 24, and that kept me entertained for, like, 3-4 hours, and it was good entertainment. But you do have to use the D-pad and the A and B buttons to get around town. And like I said, the D-pad can be finicky on this thing.
Yeah, something I also didn't think about that you were saying you use A to take the picture kind of made me think about is like, is it awkward to use the A and B button and the crank at the same time since they're on the same side?
You typically don't use them at the same time, and honestly, the console's so small, your thumb can just reach.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
not
funny.
not particularly. Yeah, it's not a big deal. All right, moving on. Next game we have, it's called B360. It is a game. It is basically Breakout, except your Pong, your paddle, it only goes in a perfect 360 rotation, a perfect circle. And you use the crank to control this paddle in this 360 rotation. So basically just circular Breakout. And I'm not actually a fan of this because this could have been a really, really good game to play, just like Breakout, but you travel in a 360 pattern instead of just left to right at the bottom of the screen. But it's actually about getting really precise shots. You need to manipulate the ball in such a way where it goes into very tight areas to get like out of reach bricks. And that doesn't work because your range of movement is so limited with a fully this sounds stupid, but a 360 range of movement is very limiting in what you want to do because you're always going to be hitting at an angle. You're always going to be hitting at an angle that you don't want and you can't control. So I'm actually not a big fan of B360. But that is how it uses the crank. You crank and your paddle goes in a circle. And it's a long game. It has basically you're going through like a big galaxy or whatever. And from what I can tell, there's like 10 levels with 10 levels each. And then I found like a secret level in between that. So there's at least like 110 levels of like just Breakout. But I only played like 30 before I was like, this is very frustrating. And really, because I'm literally trying. Imagine you're playing Breakout and you're trying to get one ball, one brick for like 3 minutes. That's not fun.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing it.
Fair enough.
All right. Next game is Ratcheteer. Ratcheteer, if you can fucking believe it, is a Zelda game. It is a classic style, like NES style, Game Boy style Zelda top-down Zelda game. And you play as this little mechanic kid. There's actually like some deep lore in it. This is one of the games that I haven't really touched too much because it is like a full game. But you play as this like little mechanic and you live in this like dark world where like everyone is like this machine world basically. And the people are all mechanics and they exist in like cryo sleep, but they wake up every like 10 years to do maintenance on the machine world, and they go back into cryo sleep until they need to do maintenance again. And you play as one of these like little guys, and your sword is a wrench, and you go around and they get like minerals and stuff and solve puzzles and like, put your wrench on these levers and then use the crank to turn the levers and then solve puzzles. Fun. Yeah, it's cute. It's very, very cute. But yeah, it has the same problem with Casual Birder, I would say, where the D-pad is finicky. But it's really impressive, I would say. That's another full-fledged game that you can have a lot of fun with. It's a full Zelda-like. And I'm very interested. I haven't dived too deep into it. I did the first dungeon, and now I'm on my way to the second dungeon. But I actually do really like it. I thought it was really cool what they were doing. Like, this is the type of things that you can do on the Playdate. Basically, it's just such a wide range of activities that you could basically do.
So for a game like this, and this is something I've also kind of been curious about with these Playdate games, is like, if this game didn't have a crank and you were just playing it on your Switch, would it still be a good game? And that's kind of a bad faith argument because the crank is the fun, but you know what I mean. Like, how is the quality?
No, you would not buy this. If this was available on Switch, you probably would not buy this. Especially if it didn't have the crank, because why would I mean, actually, probably a lot of people would buy it because these games are cheap. These ones were free. I mean, if the Switch gave you 24 fucking games for free, I'm sure a lot of people would play it. But even if the games weren't for free, the most expensive game I purchased was like $9. And that was like, that game was kind of touted for being like a full-fledged like experience, like RPG type experience. Many of these games that are more like arcadey are like $3, $4 or $5, $6 maybe. $6 is on the high end. is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people actually would be playing these games if they were on the Switch. If you just were just like, here's just this 1-bit little. I mean, people play fucking Downwell. Because Downwell's sick as hell. So maybe that's not really that good of an argument. But I'm sure there's an audience, but I don't know if a lot of people like me would ever check these games out unless... Like I would just be like, well, I don't really need to play that because I already have Link's Awakening type, you know?
Yeah, you just don't strike me as a person that appreciates novelty to a high degree. So that's why I'm just curious, like all these games that you're playing on here, I imagine that the ones you really like are like standout, could stand alone type deals.
That is the question. And I think that'll depend on the person. I don't think a lot of these games would probably stand out without the crank. But the novelty of the crank is just... It does something to me. It's just
that fun to crank it out.
It really is. And I know that sounds silly, but it really is. It is a way of playing a game that I've never seen before. Using an analog crank is so interesting. And it's used in so many unique ways. And it's very smooth. Like I said earlier, the crank is smooth as hell. And if you got a good game that has really made the gameplay smooth as well, it feels really, really nice to play. It's just, you know what it is? It's casual. And I'm not a huge casual type gamer. You know, I'm like, oh, I need to examine the art in front of me. I need to criticize it. But this is the casual that I really, really appreciate. Because no one has ever decided to really do something like this before. Well, maybe they have. I'm sure they have. But I've never seen something like this before. And something about just the whole execution, the tiny console, the black and white aesthetic, the crank, all this shit, like completely catered towards independent developers, really, really spoke to me. And I just wanted to check it out. I wasn't even sure that any of these things were going to be good, but I just wanted to have it. I just wanted to check it out just to see. And I'm not that type of guy who experiments like that, I feel like. But this was so strange that I needed to see it. I had to.
Cool. All right, let's keep it rolling.
All right. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention. The sound is really good.
Oh, yeah? Does it have speakers?
Yeah, it does. It has a single speaker, and this shit is loud. And it has high-quality sounds, and a lot of these games do have really fucking banging soundtracks. So they did not skimp on the sound at all. Sound is great. And there's even an audio jack for headphones, if you can believe it.
Sweet. Does it have... do you think it has like a sound chip, or do most developers just go for that vibe?
I think most developers go for it because I think there's actually, I think some games actually have narration and like actual people speaking, and I believe it's complete. I think it's like full quality. So
that's cool.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. Battleship Godios. I don't like this game at all because it looks really, the visuals are really not good. It looks like I'm playing a fucking like before the NES. Like I look up like I'm playing like ColecoVision type game. There's no music at all, and you have to basically, it's like a Toho kind of style, like bullet hell, except you have one bullet and you need to shoot your bullet into these ships, and it'll like bounce around like a pinball, and you just have to like destroy the ship on like a perfect shot. And it's very finicky. You have to use the D-pad. You have to use the D-pad to get through a bullet hell. It don't work. I don't like it. The use of the crank is silly. You just use the crank to rewind back in time. So instead of like when you die, you just like crank back until you're not dead, and then you just try again. And then it's just like, that's it. That's the whole game. Don't like it. Don't like it. Sorry.
Dang.
Yeah. Here's another one I don't really like. We have a couple that I just don't really like here in a row. We have Forest Burns Up in Smoke. You play as kind of scary looking Firewatch, like Forest Firewatch guy, and it is a. I've only played very little of this because I didn't really like it. It is a platformer where you play as Forrest Burns, and it is like a roguelike game where you play just one level. You hit start game, and it just randomly generates a level. And it's like there's a big fire behind you, and you have to run through this level before the fire catches you. And on your way, you run around and you like get points, and you save like children and Boy Scouts from like pits and hazards and stuff. It has like a Shovel Knight style like shovel drop because he has a shovel, and that's really the whole game, to be honest with you. You get like points, and then it unlocks like little images, and I feel like that's all there is to it. You just like, ooh, I'm just gonna play like a random level and unlock like a new part of an image, like whatever. But again, it's a platformer. Use the D-pad. It's finicky. You only use the and it's also just like literally designed finicky too. Like the design is just not very good. It just feels like really janky to play.
Randomly generated platformer doesn't sound very appealing.
No, it's not. It's not. Sorry.
How do you crank it though?
You crank it when there's like a hazard and there's like a child in, I don't know, under some rubble, and you walk up to them, and then you pull out your shovel, and then you use the crank to unshovel them, basically. And it's very difficult to actually go from platforming game to shoveling, to using the crank. I will not lie to you.
All right.
Yeah. Our next game is Snack. This might take a while. Actually, you know what? We're getting through it. We're breezing. Okay. We're breezing through it. Our next game is Snack. It's Snake, but you can hit A to jump over your body segments. So you know how in Snake, if you collide with your body, the game's over?
Yeah.
Well, you can hit A and you can jump over your body, so you can make like, figure eights and shit
cool.
like that. Yeah, it's all right, but that's all it is. It's just Snake with an A button.
Cranking to turn left and right?
No, you don't use the crank at all in this game.
What?
Yeah. Yep. It's
That's such an easy win.
I know, it's very
crank right to turn right, crank left to turn left.
Yeah, I don't know. This one isn't really gonna be interesting to anyone past like 5 minutes, unless you really fucking like Snake.
Everyone likes Snake enough.
Yeah, but I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Our next game is Sasquatchers. I have not played this one yet, but from what I can tell, from what I've seen, footage I've seen and images I've seen, it is a Fire Emblem game where you control a bunch of Bigfoot enthusiasts and you take pictures of Bigfoots.
And you haven't played this one?
No, I have not.
This sounds like the one they designed because they knew you would buy it.
You would think that, but I do not like the aesthetic, and I have not touched it yet. And also, that is a huge ask of me to jump into a Fire Emblem type game, like a tactical strategy game about taking pictures of Bigfoots. So I have not touched this one yet. I'm sorry, I can't say that I have messed around with this one yet. Next one is Inventory Hero. I have not messed around with this one either, because this is also a full-fledged game. I actually don't know anything about this game, so I will not talk about it. But I heard it's a pretty good one. I think the idea is that you basically, it's like an auto battler, but you control what's in your inventory, and then that inventory is used as you go along. But that's all I know about it, so I'll have to play it at some point.
This one.
Oh, you're looking it up?
Yeah, I've been looking at all these as we talk about them, but I like the aesthetic of this one.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I kind of thought it was like a Cuphead type thing, but, guy who's only played Cuphead. But yeah, I'll have to check this one out at some point soon. I mean, I have it and it's free, so I'll get to it. Yep. Next one is Spell Corked. This one's kind of interesting. This is kind of what I've been waiting for. It is just kind of like a little simulator where you're a little witch lady person. I don't really know what they are. It doesn't really matter. You're a witch person, and you are running a potion delivery business where you make the potions. And
I like the way you say potion.
Potion seller. And you get like requests on your email, which is on your computer, which is actually like a crystal. So it's like, you open up your like, oh, I need to check my email on my crystal, and then you get like you get requests. You're like, I need a potion that will make me angry, or it's like, oh man, I'm too happy. Can you make a potion that'll make me sad? I'm way too fucking happy. And you just like take all these ingredients. You unlock ingredients over time, and I imagine later in the game you have to figure out like what ingredient, like the recipes get complicated, and you have to pick the right ingredients, and then you have to prepare them in the right way. You have to make sure that you don't like, depending on how you prepare a certain ingredient, it'll have a different effect. So it's like, oh, I'm grinding up coffee. Do I want to ground it into a fine dust, or do I want to like smash them decently and then kind of leave them more intact? They both will have a different effect on the potion. And then you send it out and you find out how strong that potion was. Like, it's like a trial and error type of thing. Like, you're just experimenting. It's kind of like Skyrim alchemy, except you're actually doing something instead of going through menus. It is cute. It's cute. You use the crank to like operate like a mortar and pestle. This is the only game I've seen so far that makes use of the Playdate. Apparently has a, what is that? What's that little device in a machine that determines orientation? Like if I tilt
gyroscope.
Gyroscope. It has a gyroscope.
Whoa, really?
Yes, and no one uses it because it's a weird concept. But when you finish your potion, it's like tilt the Playdate to pour your potion into the bottle, and you do it, and it's cute.
That's crazy that more games don't take advantage of that. And that just gave me the idea. If there is one, don't tell me, and then it'll be a surprise later. But this sounds like the perfect system for a WarioWare game.
Holy shit! I think there is a WarioWare game available on this, but I don't know. I don't think I own it.
Man,
I'll have to tell you about it. Maybe I will pick it up, and spend like $3 just and pick it up, see how it is. Because there really is like a lot of variety on these things. Let's continue. Also, developers can in fact update. I think if your game is on the catalog, you can send out patches and updates, and the game will get updated automatically. If you have your game on itch.io, you will have to seek out the new version and log into your account, and then download the new version and re-download it. These downloads are only about like maximum maybe 100 megabytes. That actually can take a long time because of the power of this thing. Downloading all these games did take a decent amount of time. Like on and off, it took me about 2 days. It wasn't downloading like 24/7, but I was just like going in, downloading it, going to work, and then coming back home, downloading something else, and it could take a while. So maybe just download one game at a time. But yeah, if your game is on the catalog and it gets an update, a game I played that's on my catalog got a big update, and it just got automatically updated last night, and there's a little light on the lock button that says like, yep, new game, new update.
3DS style. I like that.
Yeah, it's really nice. Next game is Star Sled. You play as a little like wireframe little spaceship, and you fly around, and you have like a little like chemtrail that makes frogs gay or something. I'm sorry, that was a stupid joke. You have a little trail behind you. It's called like the electric lasso, and you basically have to go around these maps and find these little like sparks, and then you have to do a 360 around them and lasso them and collect the sparks.
Pokemon Ranger.
Yeah, Pokemon Ranger style. Yeah, fully Pokemon Ranger style. And this is a game that uses the crank really, really well. Doesn't use the D-pad, doesn't use the A and B. It does actually use the A button in a really cool way, but it uses the crank to move entirely. It's really nice. You use the crank to turn left and right. You have such fine control over how sharp and how loose you'll be turning, and it's really, really cool. And it has about, I think, 5 worlds and then a secret world, and you get like upgrades. You get the upgrades taken away for different challenges. It's really, really nice. You use the A button. You can auto. Germa auto. You can auto complete your lasso with a certain upgrade that you get occasionally, where you'll make like a circle and your circle will be like mostly done, and then you could hit A and then basically clip directly to the part of the lasso that you're aiming at, so you can just completely finish your circle immediately. But there'll be enemies like that are like called like sentries or something like that. You can't lasso them. If you lasso them, they blow up and kill you. So it's kind of like a precision game in a way, where you have to like just smoothly make these circles as best you can and get the sparks, but don't get the sentries. And it's really, really cool. It's really cool. I really like this one. This is one of my favorites on the console so far. Big fan of Star Sled. Saturday Edition. I have no idea what Saturday Edition is. I think it's a point-and-click adventure game where you play as like a detective. I heard this one is pretty good. I have not checked it out yet because I really would just want to like dive into it and just like take my time into it, like when I'm ready, instead of being like distracted by all the other games that I could be playing. Yeah. Executive Golf DX. I hear
people talk about this one.
This one is really this one was the first one I played and the one that I wanted. It's kind of one of the big ones that made me buy the consoles because I love golf. I love golf games. You are a little golf ball and you are just putting your way up through executive office building. And the entire way you're just like dodging furniture, getting the perfect shot, going up floors, going to new areas, using like little power-ups. It's just like basically like a putt-putt game. Kind of similar, I would say, to this is gonna sound a little silly, but like Getting Over It or a game like that, because you're it's like kind of like trial and error. You just like go up and down, but it's not like frustrating like that. It's a roguelike, so you can just beat the game in 15 minutes. You go up an executive building and then you go down another executive building, and it's really funny because you get, you go from like marketing and then you go to like I don't know, advertising, financial department, and then you go to the executive department and everything's like gold, and there's gold bars on the floor and and like safes with money falling out of it, and then you get to the top of that floor and then your ball shoots out of the building you just climbed into and hits the building that's next door, and it's like called like hostile golf takeover or something like that. And then you start going down that building through all the floors that you just went through, and then you have like two like you go through like the basement and then like the mines or something with like fucking dinosaur fossils at the bottom. It's cool. It's just a really casual one where you just pick it up, play for 20 minutes, improve your stroke game, improve your time.
Stroking and cranking, holy shit.
Stroking and cranking. You use the crank to angle the ball. And it's really good. I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. I'll take a sip of water.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of heavy lifting on this episode. Thank you.
This is the year of the Jonathan.
The fearless year of John.
The fearless year of John. Our next game, we're about halfway through. There's one coming up that I think is going to be really funny for you.
Oh no.
The next one is called Questy Chess. I'm not really too sold on this one. It is a strategy game where you play. It's got a really cool aesthetic, like old school type, like boot up PC aesthetic. Like like when you remember when PCs used to make like sound,
horrible
like
noises.
Yeah, like fax machines type sounds. It's kind of that aesthetic where everything is like a little like vector image type thing, and you play as just a pawn, and you're put in these maps, these levels that are just these like chessboards, and you just have to navigate the chessboard, get to the ends, pick up as many items as you can, kill as many enemies as you can, and level up without dying.
And are the chess pieces moving like chess pieces?
Yes, like
That's
chess
cool.
pieces, yeah. So you have to kind of strategize between that and the map that's given to you. It's completely level-based, so it's not like a roguelike arcade type thing. It's like a full experience. You start off with the pawn, and then you get like the knight, and then the knight, and then you get the rook. And I think there's like one more that you can play as. But yeah, it's all right. It's not like the greatest thing. It can be a bit frustrating. It's a bit slow. It's a bit complicated, but it might tickle someone's fancy. Not really mine. I accidentally picked easy mode. They had a weird way of saying the difficulties. It was like novice, advanced, or expert. And I was like, well, I don't really play chess, so I guess I'll pick novice. But that was actually the easy mode. So you get like infinite consumables. And it kind of just removes like the challenge of the game. So I would suggest maybe just playing at advanced. The game pretty much tells you exactly what the chess pieces do. So it's like, that's the only reason why I picked novice. So.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's alright. Hyper Meteor is next. Hyper Meteor is, I mean, it's like meteor. It's like asteroid. You just have a little ship and you just fly around destroying asteroids. But the only difference is that, asteroid, you like pilot your ship and you shoot like a projectile, I think. This game, you have to touch the white part of the meteors. So
interesting.
All the meteors are like two-tone, like those like black and white cookies.
Yeah.
That's what all the meteors look like, and you just have to simply touch the white part of the meteor, and it'll break up into smaller meteors. And it controls basically the same exact way as Star Sled does, but it is just like an arcade game where you just break meteors apart, and that's it. That one's all right.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we are almost done. We're almost done. I think we're 2/3 done. This is the funny one. This is Zipper by Bennett Foddy.
Oh no.
Yeah, isn't that something? Bennett Foddy has made a game specifically for the Playdate. And this one's really weird. You play as a samurai, and you are on these levels on this grid-based game. And you'll start in the beginning of this level, and there'll be like samurai like across the map, and you control your guy by moving in straight lines, and the way you kill your enemies is by moving past them. So you need to be basically parallel with your enemy and then move past them to kill them. So the whole game is basically just moving in straight lines in a very deliberate, particular way to kill your enemies without them killing you. And when you die, you go all the way back to the beginning. You have a time limit of like 300 seconds. So you have to beat the whole game in 300 seconds. Every time you die, the time limit is restarted. The game restarts. Trial and error type puzzle game. It's very interesting. You don't really use the crank at all, except to like kind of predict your movements a little bit. But this is an interesting one. I kind of dig it.
Cool. So is the straight line idea like a samurai movie, like The Clash? Is that what we're going for?
Essentially.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but you always win the clash.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else does it though, then you do not win the clash. Like if you have a samurai, if you have an enemy that's like directly to the north of you, but then they have one like kind of behind them, like to the left, and you go through a straight line, the other samurai, if he's close enough, can just kill you immediately after you kill them. So you need to kind of like kill them in a certain way where you will not be left open, because then they can also zip towards you. It's like you basically just zip to where you want to go, and you kill anyone who's in your path, but the enemies zip at the same time you do, so you have to zip. And the whole point is that like the enemies can also zip. They zip to where they want to go at the same time you do. So you basically need to kill your enemies without overextending yourself, or else they will kill you instantly. So that's the whole thing.
This is kind of... So there's that game, not Samurai Showdown, that's the fighting game. What is the game I'm thinking of that came out recently that is like basically this? Where it's like a turn-based game where you have to like predict moves and it's on a grid. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The only thing I can think about is oh man, what is that game called? It's like it's a turn-based fighting game.
Oh, wait, I don't know what that is.
Do you know what game I'm talking about? Hold on, let me look it up.
No.
Oh shit.
There is a game that is like...
If I can't fucking find... Here it is, I found it. Wait, I need to find the... Yomi Hustle. You ever heard of Yomi Hustle?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh my goodness. This is a really fucking weird game. Yomi Hustle is a turn-based fighting game.
This is weird. Holy shit.
It's crazy. And like all this fast footage you'll see in like trailers and stuff, that's just the replay of your match. But it's a tactical turn-based fucking fighting game.
Huh.
It is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life. And it looks like it's a lot of fucking fun.
Mm-hmm. Not on the Playdate, though.
No, it's not. That's not on the Playdate. Sorry.
Damn. Sorry. Didn't mean to get off topic.
Yeah, Yomi Hustle. It's called Your Only Move is Hustle.
That's funny.
Overwhelmingly positive reviews. 25,000 reviews. $5. I might have to get this. The first achievement I see on the Steam page is 2 stick figures. One of them is doing the Akuma pose after he does the 5.
Oh, the demon. Yeah,
the demon rage, 100 years of death, and he has like the Akuma's like kanji on his back, and then there's a blue stick figure on the floor doing the Family Guy death pose. we might have to check this out.
That sounds fun.
It does sound fun, but it kind of hurts my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
The game I was thinking of is called
what?
Shogun Showdown, not Samurai Showdown. And
Shogun
it is like
Showdown.
It is very similar to the Zipper game, just not like the straight line idea, but it's like shockingly similar.
Oh wow. Oh, hold on. Oh, this looks funky. I never heard of this one. Deck building.
Love deck building, bro.
We're gonna get all types of deck building games now.
Also, that is a good thing. I don't know why I said also. That is a good thing. More deck, more. What's that game I recommended to you? Diceomancer. Like these games they all look good. They all look fantastic.
Dicey Dungeons.
I have that one.
That's who made that? Didn't
So I don't know, but
someone that is interesting made that. Hold on. Dicey Dungeons. It's made by Terry Cavan. Oh, it's the Dicey Dungeons was made by the guy who made VVV.
Oh yeah, he just put out that collection like a couple weeks ago. Terry's Other Games or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Terry's Other Games. Yes, I did see that, and I thought it was funny.
All right, let's get back on the Playdate because we're going down a dark path right now.
UFO 50.
The Playdate catalog is essentially just UFO 50.
That's. I was not interested in UFO 50 after I started playing these Playdate games. I was like, fuck, and then I also watched like a really cool video on UFO 50, and I said, fuck. As soon as UFO 50 comes to Switch, I'm getting UFO 50.
I have UFO 50, and I've been meaning to jump into it. I might do it sooner rather than later, and I'll give you some recommendations.
It's pretty magical, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. People love it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Anyway, next game. Demon Quest 85.
Sounds dope.
This is weird. What do you think the game is?
From the title, Demon Quest
the image,
85.
Yeah, look at the image online.
So I'm not looking at any images. Before I see anything, I would guess Demon Quest 85 is a boomer shooter because it's like Doom.
I thought that it would be kind of like because the splash image they have is a big like Doom style demon and then a dude in armor and a sword and shield. So I thought I thought when I first saw it, I was like, ooh, this is probably like an old school like NES RPG. You know what it is? It is a interactive simulator where you play as a high school student summoning demons in your house to solve petty problems.
Like a visual novel or like a puzzle game?
Yeah, it's a visual novel. There is a inkling of puzzle solving. So you get this book, the Book of Demonology, right? And then it's an encyclopedia about all these demons and how to summon them. So it'll be like, this demon likes solving these kind of problems. And then you have a bunch of classmates that have certain issues, like, oh man, I embarrassed myself in front of everyone. Now everyone knows who I like. I wish everyone would forget about it. And then like this demon is really good at making people forget about things and like shit like that. It's like, this demon really likes, this demon is compelled by the smells of salt and meat, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna use a beef jerky offering that I found in my pantry and summon this demon. And then you summon the demon and you basically talk to them for a little while, and you have like branching choices on like who you're gonna help, and also they come to you with their own issues. They're kind of like, because you can ask them questions, be like, hey, where are you from, like what is your thing, and they'll be like, fool, you summoned me and I was in the middle of the war of the Magi and I was killing and then it wasn't going well. And you'd be like, oh, well, why wasn't it going well? And you'd be like, oh, because our arms are being stolen. And then you can kind of like give them advice, and that kind of determines how like the demon war is going. And then you summon like more demons later on down the line. They're like, did you fucking send that guy to steal our weapons? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm mad at you. And it kind of has this like culmination at the end where you like summon the final demon or whatever. And they're like, you have been messing with the demons for too long. You will be judged by like Baal. I don't remember exactly what his name is. Baal the Dread. What the fuck is the dragon's name? Baal! Yeah, you like the king of demons is like, I am going to summon myself to your home and cast judgment upon you. And you kind of have this, like, at the end of the game, the demon, and it's funny. It's like all funny, by the way. But the demon lord shows up and he's like, what have you say to these actions? And you could be like, I don't know. Or it's like, oh, I want to become a demon lord. Or it's like, I just hate you or something like that. And then that determines, like, the ending. And it's really funny. My ending was like, I was kind of like a free agent where I was like, hey man, I'm not against you necessarily. I'm just like summoning demons and I'm just giving them advice. I didn't know that would happen. Like my motives are my own. And he's like, do you want to become a demon in my army? And I went, I'll become a demon, but I'm not going to serve you. And the demon lord went, what? Well, then I'm not going to make you a demon. And then he looks to my friend that I brought along and he goes, do you want to be a demon? And my friend's like, yeah. And then he becomes a demon. So at the end of the game, there's like a new like entry for whoever becomes like a demon lord at the end.
That's funny.
And your character's like, man, I should have just, I played my cards too close. I shouldn't have done that. It's very funny. It's very funny. But that's a cute one. It's like 2 hours. And there is some replayability to it, I would say.
Cool.
Because you can like summon different people. You can have different people with you when you summon the demons. You can have the demon solve particular problems over others that come back to like either bite you or help you. It's cool. It's a really funny one.
It sounds cool.
You don't use the crank though. Sorry.
Well, okay, ruined.
Yeah, ruined. Well, actually, you do use the crank to read the articles. You can use the crank to just like go down the article, you know, because the articles are like a big scroll, so it's like long.
Boo.
Yeah, and also here's another interesting thing. Whenever you speak to a demon and you get like, you know, you do like the narrative segments, you actually go back to the other articles and it'll give you like notes on like what happened and like what the consequences were. And that's really cool. Some demons just get straight up die. Like you summon a demon, they're like, I killed the other guy, and then you go back to their entry, and their entry's all like crossed out and like destroyed, and you're like, oh geez. But it's really fun. It's really fun. I like that one a lot. I would play that. I actually would play that one if you offered it to me on like Steam for like $2, I think.
It sounds fun.
I'd watch Manly Badass Hero play it. Yeah, I really like it. That's one of the top tier ones, I would say. Actually, cool. I had a lot of really good things to say about that one.
Have we reached your favorite one yet?
No.
Oh.
Star Sled was close, but I actually do think there's one. I really like Star Sled. I really like Demon Quest, and then I like one that I think is really, really unique and impressive. That is probably my favorite, but I kind of have a three-way tie. But we're very close to it. We're only like 5 more left.
Oh, okay.
The next one is O-Maze. O-Maze, you basically play as a ball.
The charity?
Yeah. Like O, like the letter O, and then maze.
Like the
is that the charity?
That's the nonprofit that like does outreach all across the world.
I guess so. This was probably made by a guy who didn't know what that is.
Okay.
So. Yeah, it's called O-Maze, and it's basically you just play as a little like black dot, and you navigate these big chambers of just circular rooms, and it's all based on the crank and also the A button, and you just use the crank to go like basically slide your circle through the outer perimeter of the circle that you occupy, and then you hit A to enter another sphere, and then there's like obstacles and stuff and you know, all kinds of things. It's a cute one. It can be a little frustrating sometimes because you need to like go from cranking to hitting the A button, and it can be a little like finicky. But this one is good. It's short. Yeah, it's just like a impossible game kind of game, I would say. Remember that one? That was a good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Flipper Lifter is all right. You just use the crank, and you know Tiny Tower.
Yeah.
You know how you would pick up people on the elevator in Tiny Tower and bring them to their locations?
Is this a whole game that's just that?
It's just that.
That sounds fun. I can't deny it. That sounds fun.
It's fine, but that's all it is. You basically get penguins in an elevator. There's a couple different maps that change up how you do things a little bit, but for the most part, you're just using that crank and picking up penguins and then bringing them to the floor that they want to be at. Every time you score a penguin, you get time added to the clock. That will let you get more points because you're in the game longer. If you do not get the penguin to where they want to be in a certain time, they stop the elevator abruptly and walk out of it and basically freeze you for 5 seconds. If you have more penguins, if you have like a full stack of penguins on your elevator, going up is very slow. It's also the opposite going down. You go down really fast. So that's basically the game. And it's cute. It's fun.
Sweet. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a fun little... This one sounds like a game and watch.
Yeah, that one really is. The next one is... We're almost done. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Of just season 1. That's season 1. Echoic Memory is a game where you are given like a speaker system, and that speaker will play music, just like a little clip of music, and then you need to match it to the full song, basically. Like you'll get like a beat, and then you have to match it to like 4 options, and you just do that over and over and over again. And that's kind of it, actually.
Can you use the crank to turn a record on a turntable?
Yeah, but it doesn't really do... It kind of just changes the pitch. It doesn't really... which really isn't as important as you'd think it is. So this one's all right.
All right, what's next?
Didn't mean to disappoint you. Lost Your Marbles. I have no idea what Lost Your Marbles is. From what I can tell, it is a...
Whoa, be careful, Jonathan.
What?
If you say anything good about this game, you're woke. This game was made by Sweet Baby Inc. Be careful.
Who the fuck is that? Wait, who is that?
That's the fucking Gamergate 2.0. That's like public enemy number one for all these like degenerate online people that are against DEI. Because,
is that true?
Yes, Sweet Baby Inc. is like a consultation company that works with game studios to like improve their diversity and equity in their games. So
that's hilarious. I didn't even know
they deserve love. They deserve all the support in the world. But also, this game is woke.
I'm on thin ice. I'm on thin ice. Well, I actually don't have much to say about it because I actually did not really touch this one that much. From what I can tell, it is a narrative game where you just kind of go through this story, and then you choose options throughout the story, and then you can have like a semi-serious story. You can have like a wacky story. You just kind of choose what kind of story you get. I thought it was going to be a marble game. That's the problem. I thought it was going to be a game where you like flick marbles around into like goals, and it wasn't that. So I didn't really. As soon as I realized that I was like playing dialogue, I was like, I'll touch this one later, and I haven't touched it since. But now that it's woke, uninstalled.
Get this woke off my plate.
Get this shit out of here. Anyway, Pick Pack Pup is the next game. And this is also a really good one. It is a match 3 game, and I don't like match 3 games. I think they're silly. Like fucking, I don't know, Bejeweled. I don't know.
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. I'm like, whatever. But this one I actually do really like because it is a match 3 game where you play as a little puppy, and you work in like an Amazon like type place, and you pack things together. Like you do a match 3, but when you match 3, the items don't go away. They're just put into a box, and they stay on the board to let you pack more boxes. And the more boxes when you can hit A, just send out all your boxes at once. And the more boxes you have, the higher multiplier, the higher score. And so you need to match 3. You not just match 3. You can also match like 5 and 6 if you get it like perfectly. But the idea is that you need to do it in a way that doesn't cut you off from the rest of the matches. So it's kind of like a puzzle game where you match as much 3s as you can before you send out all the boxes. It's really cool. Each level, they give you like a bunch of different challenges, a bunch of different items to pack. There's a ton of variety. Like there's actually a crazy amount of variety. There's a lot of levels. This one really, really impressed me because I thought it was just going to be like an arcade, like match 3, but there's like a whole story mode. In between chapters, you'll get like these little cutscenes where you use the crank to like scroll through this like comic styled thing, like story of this like little puppy. Like he's like, man, no one's fucking hiring. And then they find like the Pick Pack Pup Corporation or some shit. And they're like, man, I'm working at the Pick Pack Pup Corporation. And then like, you know, they kind of, abuse him and stuff like that. And it's cute. It's just a cute little story of him like finding his place in the world. And if you can fucking believe it, the last level is set to that one like vaporwave song by Home. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? It was really, really bizarre. He goes to like space in the last level. And that song by Home plays. And I thought I was like, I thought someone else was playing that song near me. Because I was like, what is happening? But no, they play that song in the last level. And you know what? It's actually kind of, it's cute because there's not even like the last level is just like match as many as you can within the time limit. There's no failure. You just like finish it. So it actually is like really, really nice. I really liked it.
Cool.
Okay, next game. This is the last game that I will talk about because the last actual thing isn't really anything I can talk about, really, because I didn't really... You'll see. But this is the last game I will talk about fully. This game is called Crankin's Time Travel Adventure.
Sick.
And it is a side-scroller, right? It's a side-scroller where you play as a little robot and you use the crank to run through this level, then the crank determines how fast you do it. And when I say how fast you do it, I don't mean like, like a Mario, like you run and then you stop and then he like goes into a neutral position. Crankin's path is already predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
His animations are predetermined to be in certain locations at certain, your crank determines the speed and time of when he does these animations. So you are basically learning a character's animations. Here's an example. Anytime he sees an obstacle, he has to do something particular. When he sees a flower, he bends down and sniffs it. Sometimes a bird will be flying overhead. If the bird touches you, you get sent back to the beginning. So you basically crank him until he gets to the flower and bends down, and then you stop cranking him, and then let the bird pass overhead.
I see.
And that's the whole game. It's just obstacles, and you need to play the animation in a certain way because the obstacles move. The obstacles that will send you back to the beginning move on their own time. Crankin does not. Crankin moves to your will, basically. Like you will crank and he will move. And you can go backwards, you can reverse time. And it is basically you are just learning this character's animations to go through like a bullet hell style Mario game. It is the most unique game I've seen on the Playdate so far. And it's really good. It plays really smooth. It's a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle game in a certain way because you need to figure out what animation can I get him in that will dodge this specific formation of obstacles in my way. It's like, oh, okay, I have a bird coming over my head. I'm gonna sit at this. I'm gonna speed up his animation until I get to this like little tea table. When he bends down to sip his tea, the bird will fly overhead. But then I need to speed up really fast because then a pig is gonna come out from the right side of the screen, and then the end of his tea drinking animation, he puts down the tea, and then he gets up on the seat, and then he jumps off of the table, and that will get me over the pig. And it's full of shit like that. It's really incredible. It's really incredible, and it's a full game. 50 levels, and they can be pretty challenging. Yeah, it's 50 levels, and they can be very challenging. Some of them are a little frustrating, but most of them are just really tight, really good. And the whole premise of the game is really funny. The whole premise of the game is that Crankin, he loves to sleep. He loves to sleep so much. But he keeps on missing his dates with his girlfriend, Crankette. So every day it'll start out with an envelope with a letter inside. It'll say like date 1, meet at 3 o'clock. And it does that for every single level, right? It says meet at 3 o'clock. Then the timer starts at 3 o'clock. So you're basically, and then whenever you reach Crankette at the end of the level, she like punches you or like suplexes you, and sometimes she throws a Hadoken and blows you up. But that's how every level ends, where she's like, you were late, and destroys you. Because you start the timer at 3. And then also, if you take too long to do a level, like if you get past like 4:30, she's not even there, and you have to restart the level. You have to get to the end of the level for her to beat you up. But on the last level, and I was like, wow, this is really cute. On the last level, it's 50th date, meet at 3 o'clock, and you wake up at 2. And then you have to just crank as fast as possible. And this is the only level where Crankin will ignore every obstacle in his path. He will not get sent back by obstacles touching him. He will not bend down to sniff flowers. He will not bend down to drink his tea. He will not interact with any part of the level. You just have to crank as fast as you can to get to Crankette as fast as possible. And then when you do reach Crankette before 3 o'clock, and you really have to go, you have to like go. Like, it can be pretty tight. When you reach Crankette at the end, you actually meet her at a church, and she's holding flowers, and you get married, and it's really, really cute. Yeah, it was really cute. I was like, wow, this was awesome. Because it's like, it's a long game. It's 50 fucking levels. And the last one, they're like, okay, everything's done. Like, run to the love of your life. I was like, oh, this is really cute.
That is very, very cute.
Yeah. And then if you do still miss the 3 o'clock deadline, she starts floating and then pulls out a wand and then points it at you, and then the church bell falls on you and crushes you. So that one is probably my favorite in the entire catalog. In the entire season 1.
I have a question really about that one.
Sure.
Why is it called Kraken's Time Travel Adventure? What is the time travel in this?
Oh, when you get hit by an obstacle, you go back to the beginning, to 3 o'clock. Okay. And also, you kind of control time, I guess, with his whole, like, the crank thing, his animation thing, even though time still progresses. Even when you crank his animation backwards, time still goes.
But you can go backwards.
Yes, you go backwards, but everything else keeps going. So that's like the whole the whole thing. You only control his animations, and you have to get his animations in a perfect position to dodge obstacles.
That is really cool.
The idea. Yeah, it's really cool. I've never seen any game, not just a Playdate game, do it. I've never seen any game, period, do that ever. And it's really fun, and I really, really like it. And yeah, it's just great. I would have paid money for that. I would have paid a premium for that one. And the fact that I got it for free is just wonderful. And the last game is not a game. It's a piece of EDM music software called Boogie Loops. And it's just like Mario Paint style, like put down like notes on a thing. And then there's characters at the top of the screen, like a panda bear, a cactus, a pizza, a rabbit, and a panda. And then you play your music, and then they twerk. That's it. That's all it is. And that's the last thing that you were given on the Playdate. But that is season 1. These are all the games you get for fucking free. Like, just
well, you are paying $200 for the thing, so you know.
Yes, but they could have given you, they could have charged you $200 and then not given you anything.
It's true.
Some of these games I really would have. They could have given you like 5 games. They could have given you no games. They gave you 24 games. Some of them are worth money. Some of them are not worth money. And I think that is really, really nice of them. All things considered. It's a really good way to get like independent developers to have people play their games when maybe they wouldn't have, because they were like, well, I don't really want to pay for that. And just trying out things that you might have not have heard of before. It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. I think if I'm paying $200 for like this little post-it note, least they can do is give you some goddamn games. You know, consoles don't do that, really.
Yeah.
The only console that has done that is PlayStation 5. In the past 10 years.
And even then you have to have the subscription. You don't even just get it.
Oh, I got it for free.
Yeah, it's free, but you have to have PS Plus.
I didn't have PS Plus.
Well, it was called the PS Plus Collection, so pardon my confusion.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm talking about Astrobot.
Oh, I thought you were talking about how it gave you like all the games, because if you had PS Plus in the first year of PlayStation 5, you got like 30 games, and you got to keep them, I think.
Yeah, no, that is, I would not count that. That is a real thing, but no, I was talking about Astrobot, Astro's Playroom, Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, that pack-ins just aren't really a thing anymore. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, they can't all be Wii Sports, man. What can I say? But yeah, that is season 1. I can also talk a little bit about these catalog games that I've had, but we'll wait for that. Yeah, I just spoke for an hour. What do you think?
Well, I think that all those catalog games you bought are probably ones you were really interested in and deserve a little bit more time than the ones that just came with it. So we can talk about those on future episodes.
That's true.
I am very intrigued by the Playdate, and I'm actually like, I'm not rushing out to buy one right now, and I doubt it'll ever go on sale because it's one of those like, you know, premium kind of, they make them as they sell them kind of things.
Oh yeah.
But like, I don't know, I'm interested in it. I hope some of the people out there that listen to this podcast are at least a little bit interested in it. And I'm interested to see your journey with the Playdate and see if you ever come back to it or like continue to use it, or if this is kind of like a one and done type deal. You know what I mean?
It gets, I think it gets a lot of support, actually. Games are being steadily released on this thing. I feel like every other week I'm checking, I get like a notification of the store, be like, new games out on the catalog. Like not even just itch.io, just on the catalog itself. They're getting like new games every other week. And it really is opening my eyes to independent games that do not really have an audience, because when people look for independent games, I mean, you know, what do people think of when they think of independent games? They think of shit like Undertale, Enter the Gungeon, stuff like that. Like something that is more akin to traditional games. But these are games that I never really would have played before because they are not traditional games at all. I think half of these games on this thing I would have played. Like fucking, I don't know. Pick Pack Pup never would have played. Or just been like mobile slop. But it just provided the perfect storm for me to play it. And I do really like just the complete casualness of it. I think sometimes I am crippled because I don't really know what to do next when you have so many things that you have to do. Sometimes you just you're just overwhelmed and you'd rather just not think about it because it's just stressing you out and you're not getting anything done. But this is just so casual of an experience that it's just been such a breath of fresh air, I think, for me.
Cool.
Yeah. And I really did really enjoy it. And actually, you know what? Like what you said, because I actually got this. This was a gift from my girlfriend for the holidays, and it came about a month late because they were, you know, they must have gotten a lot of holiday order. They lost them.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Did you read that story?
No.
They lost a truck full of Playdates.
That's probably all of them.
Yeah.
Probably all of them.
Yeah. It just like vanished. Someone definitely stole it, but like it just vanished.
Where'd you read that?
It was. I actually think they found them. I think they did find them and press charges because this story is pretty old. Like a year ago, they lost a truck of Playdates, and I thought that was so funny.
That is really funny. I'm surprised that even got reporting. No, I'm not surprised that got reporting, but I'm surprised you know about that. That's hilarious. Yeah, I got it about a month late because it was having issues. I guess a lot of people bought them around Christmas time, and they actually gave me 3 games for free. 2 of them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. 2 of them were games from their staff picks, so that the 2 of them were games that they really had high expectations for. And I'm gonna talk about one of them. This is like another thing that I thought was really cool. There's a game that I have called Word Trip.
Okay.
And it's a word puzzle game where you are given a word, and then you have it's all of this aesthetic of being on like a road trip map, and your car just like is driving around, and you're just like basically going from one word to another in the form of your little vehicle. You know, and there's like a little odometer to be like, you're getting close. But it's a little puzzle game where you're given a word, a 4-letter word, and you need to transform that word into the 4-letter word at the bottom. You pick a letter at a time, and you have to make new words. You can take a single letter out from the word that you need, and then use 3 letters from the word that you already have, and then just do that over and over until you get the word you need, and then just rinse and repeat. And that one has kept me occupied for so long. I love it for some reason. I don't even like word games that much, but there's something about the aesthetic of this one that I really, really like. And it's so easy to play. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to play my word game for like 3 minutes. It's great. It's great.
That's cool. And that was one of the ones that was included?
That was one of the codes that they sent me for, like, sorry that you're getting your thing so late. Here's 3 codes of games.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really nice. But yeah, it's, you know, the Playdate, especially with the price, is not for everyone. I would say if you have a little bit of money lying around and you really just want to try something and have like a unique experience that can't really be emulated, and not many people will be experiencing it like you, I would say check it out. But you do have to know what you're getting into. You don't have like super high expectations of what it is. Like, it is what it is. A little independent console the size of a post-it note. That's all. That's what it is. You're gonna be playing independent games on a screen that's even smaller than a post-it note. That's probably, the screen is like 3 fingers wide, 2 fingers if you have big fingers, and it's in black and white, and that has no backlight. You know, it's not a powerful console at all, but it is interesting.
It does sound very interesting. And I mean this genuinely. Like, I know the Playdate has been covered a lot. Like, it wasn't ever mainstream or anything. But I feel like this podcast, you did like a fantastic job at just breaking it down exactly what everything is. So, good job,
thank
Jonathan. You. Seriously.
I did have a lot of time with it. I have spent about a month with this thing, and I do actually feel quite passionate about it. I just think it's really cool. There's not a lot of things I feel like that we could just be like, oh, this is weird. Let me just try it out. Like this is just strange. Let's see. You know? Like, this is just like, this is a journey that not many people are going to take. Even this, like, you know, you can get a weird game, like a weird indie game, and you can make a video about it, and it can blow up overnight. But I feel like no matter what, with the Playdate, you can make a video that gets like 1 million views, but the Playdate itself probably won't blow up overnight because you have to buy like an entirely new thing. So it's just like, I don't know. It's like one of those things where you just have to like kind of do it to really like fully understand it. And I've just been really enamored with that because of how unique it is. Like no video, I feel like, even this, I feel like doesn't really compare to actually experiencing it, for better or for worse, and you might fucking pick it up and hate it. And I just really like that about it. It really is just like such a unique thing in a world where it can feel like products right now are just, you know, products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
That's my story. Mm-hmm.
And this is a great episode breaking down this freaky little device. And I hope to hear more in the future for some little games that you've been playing here and there.
I think I will. I didn't think about that, but I think I will bring it. If I find a really standout game, I think I'm going to bring it up. As it is, have you ever played Ridiculous Fishing?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that's a really that's like a classic app for like old iPods. And there's a game called Realistic Fishing on this, and it's basically kind of like Ridiculous Fishing. And I'm gonna have to give you like details on that because I'm really excited to jump into that because it's like a full-fledged game. Mm-hmm. And also just one more shout out. There's a solitaire simulator. It's just solitaire, and it's called Smolitaire.
That's funny.
That's it. And it's so just funny. Solitaire. And I don't even know how to play solitaire, and I purchased it. And guess what? Not good at it.
Damn.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up for today. You want to go play some Monster Hunter and get ready for the next episode?
Yes. I want to play so bad.
I want to play so bad. All right, everyone. Until next time. We'll see ya.
Bye.